I think in the interest of time, we'll go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Women in Emergencies. This is the first of 5 voluntary organization sessions with tonight's session focusing on the New Zealand response teams. I'm Amy Markello. I'm the New Zealand chapter co-lead for the Australasian Women in Emergencies Network. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank you all for taking some time out to be here tonight. A quick note just to let everyone know in case you didn't see it, that tonight's session is being recorded. We will send that recording out to everyone who registered, as well as with a small survey. So if you can give us some feedback on this event so that we can make sure that we're providing you guys with relevant content and we can feed it back to the speakers, that would be really great. So since we do have a pretty packed evening, we're going to go ahead and get started with a karakia and then kind of jump into things with the ladies that you really want to hear from tonight. Te hui, kaya te mataranga kia whai, taki nā mahi katoa. Tu mai, tu kaha, aroha atu, aroha mai, tato kia tato katoa. For this gathering, seek knowledge and understanding, have purpose in all that you do. Stand tall, stand strong, let us show respect for one another. Okay, great. So just a little bit of some introductions and kind of how tonight's going to go. So we're going to kind of go in pretty easy order. So we're going to introduce the speakers and the different response teams that they're from. Have a little bit of a panel discussion with those speakers about why they volunteer and doing a little bit of a deeper dive, and then going to an open Q&A session with them. So just again, to remind you, you will receive a link to the recording afterwards with that survey. You don't have to wait until that Q&A session at the end to ask any questions you'd like us to answer. Feel free to just kind of type them into the chat, and the speakers can feel free to answer them as we go along, or we can try and make sure that we prioritize them in the Q&A session. So, moving right along, we have representatives from 5 teams along with NEMA here tonight in numerical team order and almost kind of geographically. We have Jennifer Chaddock from NZ-R2 in Nelson, Tasman. We have Frankie Kernahan from NZ-RT4 in Palmerston North, Amelia Stocks and Kate Unwin from NZ-RT8 or WIRT in Wellington. We also have Laura Burke from NZ-RT14 in Christchurch and Sam Blackmore from NZ-RT21 in Selwyn. We also have the amazing Liz Smith, who's based in the Hawke's Bay and is joining us from NEMA. So she works in the Deployable Capabilities team, where she supports as the NZ-RT secretary. And Liz is going to now tell you a little bit about the concepts and the history of the NZ-RTs before these other lovely ladies take over.
Kia ora, everyone. Thanks, Amy, for the introduction. Like mentioned, I'm Liz Smith. I currently work at NEMA as the New Zealand Response Team Secretariat. Started off as a volunteer in response teams many years ago. Tell you a bit about that later. So civil defence volunteers have been around for decades and decades. Most civil defence volunteer teams started up around about the 1970s, primarily owned by local councils in various different forms around the country to help in civil defence emergencies with various different skills and abilities. In the early 2000s, when Urban Search and Rescue came to New Zealand, the Ministry of Civil Defence at the time started a national registration and accreditation process in around about 2003. And quite a few civil defence teams went for this national registration and became known as New Zealand Response Teams and got issued a number depending on what order they got registered in. The intention at the time was to keep accrediting them, but that kind of didn't really happen. It was meant to happen every 3 years. And then in 2018, we had the tag report for the ministerial review into emergency management, and it said that we needed to kind of have a better structure for volunteers and emergency management. So we kind of reinvigorated the national accreditation process, and all the existing New Zealand response teams around the country went through a re-accreditation process, and there was a bunch of teams that hadn't been registered that became registered and became response teams as well. So at the moment, we have 16 teams around the country that have all been through their re-accreditation process for various capabilities. And there's a few more teams around the country that are working towards national accreditation at the moment as well. So depending on the risks and hazards in their local region and what capabilities already exist within the emergency management system, teams can be accredited in various capabilities. You have to be registered for basic foundation skills, and then there's optional skills in light rescue, flood response, storm response, civil defence centres and welfare support, swiftwater rescue, rope rescue, mass casualty support, out of region deployment, and use our first responder capability. I'll leave it at that for now because these lovely ladies are going to tell you a little bit more about their teams and what they do. I'll just say that, yeah, my journey into emergency management started as a volunteer with NZ-RT4 in Palmerston North, and that led me to teaching emergency management and rescue to other agencies around the country, and definitely led to a career in emergency management. So it's great to be back with the response team, supporting them in a different way. I'm going to pass on to Frankie from my home team, NZ-RT4 Palmerston North. Over to you, Frankie.
Thanks, Liz. So as Liz mentioned, I'm Frankie from NZ-RT4. So before I joined the team, I was actually a stay-at-home parent. Technically didn't have really any transferable skills, as you'd call them. So a little bit about NZ-RT4. So we were established in, as Liz said, around the 1970s, and we were first accredited in 2004. So NZ-RT4 is a team that's run by Palmerston North City Council, and we kind of watch over the Manawatu Whanganui district. And as such, we have accredited in, of course, foundation, light rescue, flood response, storm response, civil defence centres and welfare, swiftwater rescue, rope response, and out of region deployment, considering that those are the geographical challenges that we face. So we train every Tuesday, and we do a lot of weekend trainings as well, especially if we need to obtain qualifications for our strands. And we currently have 20 team members, with 8 of them being women, which is excellent. So RT4 has been to approximately 106 deployments since 2009. Most recently, we've rescued dogs who have fallen down the cliffs alongside VERT, which is a veterinary response team from Massey here in Palmerston North. We've also supported the cleanup effort in the Christchurch earthquakes in 2011. We deployed to Auckland and the Hawke's Bay in the wake of Cyclone Gabrielle. And most recently, just actually this past Saturday, we supported Landsar in rescuing a couple on a small bank at a nearby dam. So we do kind of a bit of everything here and there. So out of our 20 members, we do a ton of hours each year. I calculated it to be roughly 3,697 hours, recorded hours. That doesn't include hours for extra bits and bobs that are around the side. So yeah, every training, we do what's called a 2Cs before training starts. So that's concerns and celebrations. And we do that so we can kind of find out the state of our team members, so that we can offer support to them and help them where we can, and also celebrate those good things that are going on with everyone, because yeah, it's the little things. But other than that, yeah, I'll pass it on to Jen from Nelson Tasman, NZ-RT2.
Cool, thanks, Frankie. Hi, I'm Jen. I'm from RT2, and we are the Nelson Tasman response team. So we were established in 2002, and we registered in 2003, which coincided with when my family moved here. So that was quite nice, very convenient. Our accreditation process in 2023 was a really good process to go through, and it's a great process because it's going to standardize all of the teams, expectations, skills, and also unify the team. So it's been a really, I think, quite frankly, quite a life-changing experience being in the team in the first place. But I think the accreditation process has actually lifted us as a whole nationally in response to, which is really exciting, which obviously points towards things to come. So we've got 21 operational members at the moment, 7 of which are women, and really proudly so too. Our last intake was actually majority of them were women, and it's amazing how versatile the team has become because we're so diverse, and that supports our strands a lot too, because we are accredited in 7 strands, but of course one of the most important for any region is welfare. So I think having a variety of different shapes, sizes and sexes is really, really important for that. It also builds some resilience across our community, because it means that we really can make sure the appropriate people are doing the right job at the right time. So as much as we love to say that everyone can do everything all the time, sometimes there are just some people that are better suited for the job. Doesn't mean that no one else can do that job too. So go the girls. So we recruit every 2 years, or as is when needed. So if we're at capacity, which is approximately 25, then we wouldn't recruit potentially, but we do try and recruit every 2 years, because that also gives people the opportunity to start phasing into different roles and hopefully grow up to be Liz one day. And it also means that it takes the pressure off those leaders that need to go back into a role where they get to help teach and attend training, just like they used to. So trainings on Wednesday nights. It's a great opportunity to get the team together in any capacity. I'm incapacitated at the moment, so I still go on Wednesday nights just to hang out with my team. I get picked up, and we've attended approximately 47 incidents in the last decade, across all different kinds. So we've, of course, we've all been affected by COVID. So that was our first pandemic like call out, which was quite interesting, because of course all of us were trained for back in the day, certainly a couple of decades ago, it was all about earthquakes and being ready to get through earthquakes, and now it's changed a lot. We've had pandemics and we've had floods and fire, so it's been really quite interesting how that position's evolved. So I think the biggest thing for our team is we have learned that as much as we really used to love playing in certain areas like ropes, what we've realized is our community actually need us to be focused on different areas, and that's where these strands really help to make sure that skill set is appropriate for our region and out of town deployment. So that's me from RT2, and I'll hand over to Amelia Stocks. So she's from RT8 up in Wellington. Over to you.
Thank you, Jen, and kia ora, everyone. Yeah, so my name is Amelia, and together with Kate, we are pleased to represent NZ-RTs. And as it was mentioned earlier, we are also known as the Wellington Emergency Response Team. I have been around for over 3 years now, and obviously today I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the response team and what we do in Wellington. So NZ-RT8, we have a dedicated group of about 40 operational members, and nearly half of who are women, with some of the members having 15 to 30 years of experience within the team. So it just creates such a broad experience and depth of experience at the same time. We are committed to provide support during obviously critical incidents in our region. And so these will include flooding, storm response, earthquake, welfare. As Jen mentioned, welfare has become more and more prominent event that we would go to and provide the welfare support. And then really anything else Wellington may throw at us, and that can be a lot. So We are also experiencing out-of-region deployment. The way we have dealt with the events during Cyclone Gabrielle in Auckland and Hawke's Bay, and a number of our members went and support. And again, it was majority of the time spent there was in the welfare assessment and support for affected individuals. So we train every Monday and some weekends. We work as a team with commitment to making a difference and improving the resilience and preparedness of the communities. And to do that, we tend to go a couple times a year to events like the Lifeline or events at Te Papa, where we connect with the communities and make sure that they understand what's required, especially for an earthquake event. In terms of history, the team was established in 1971, so one of the oldest teams. And at the time, we had the name Tawa Civil Defense Light Rescue. It was quite mouthful. However, the name has changed around 2013 to the Wellington Emergency Response Team, and in August 2022, we were the first team to be accredited under the new national accreditation process that, as already been sort of mentioned, provided consistency across New Zealand for all the response teams. One of our core strengths and our ability to collaborate with various stakeholders. So we work closely with local government agency, communities, NZ-RTs, and other emergency services like FENS to ensure that we effectively respond and coordinate. And this includes an actual responses, as well as we do a lot of training in those setups. So that's kind of really all I wanted to say today, and I will pass on to Laura from NZ-RT 14. Thank you.
Thank you. Kia ora, ko Laura Burke toko ingoa. So I'm Laura, NZ-RT 14 based in Christchurch. We have a number of response teams across Canterbury, and we'll soon hear from Sam from Selwyn. But our response team reports through to Christchurch City Council, which is one of 3 teams. As we've heard earlier, we've been through the accreditation process last year, which has been a great process for the New Zealand response teams in terms of that consistency and lift that Jen mentioned earlier, and a lot of consistency across the strands that you've seen so far. Similar to others, we've got 27 active members at the moment, and 8 of those are female. And over the last 3 or 4 years, we've averaged about 4,000 hours recorded each year. So when you look at that on the scale of 500 working days, pretty amazing efforts when you then multiply that on 16 teams across New Zealand. There's a few deployments that we've listed there around West Coast flooding, some localised stuff. We're involved in the mosque response, Port Hill fires, been up to Nelson a few times, and then obviously the earthquakes in the Canterbury region as well. And that's just a few to kind of show some of that scale and stuff that we get involved in as well. Probably what we wanted to focus on tonight was around that cross-collaboration piece. And as many people on the call know, a response doesn't happen without the rest of the people that support it as well. So most of our deployments are with combined response teams, and it's the importance of things like that accreditation, which means we can be a bit more agile to the response, understanding each other's skill sets and that combined team piece. So really important to encourage all the response teams across New Zealand to continue to work together and share that knowledge as well. And then finally, the NZ-RTs wouldn't respond as well without the wider emergency network in New Zealand. So the importance of that cross collaboration with other emergency response units, surf lifesaving, police, FENS, etc., all really important parts of what we do, and really encourage training and opportunities to continue to work together and learn and grow from each other as well. So I will pass on to Sam from NZ-RT 21.
Evening. So my name's Sam. I'm from RT 21, which is in Selwyn. I've been in the team for around 2.5 years now, and we're managed by the Selwyn City Council, or Selwyn Council. So our team is one of the newer teams. So we were established in 2017, and we got our accreditation done in 2022. As you can see from the photos on the slide, we're a little bit different to everyone else. We wear bright orange uniform and look like road cones, which is where we got our nickname from. So the reasoning behind this is because when we got our accreditation done, the uniform review for all RTs was still underway. That hasn't been finalised yet, so we're still keeping our orange uniform until that gets finalised, and then we'll end up going into the red and black uniform that all other R teams are in. So we currently have 33 personnel within our squad, and they're split between 2 squads, trainees and support staff. And within those 33, we've got around 11 females that work with us. Over the last RT21 over the last 7 years, so we've deployed to a lot of the main stuff that RT14 mentioned before. So a lot of the South Island stuff more, Port Hills Fire, the West Coast flooding, Cyclone Gabrielle, Nelson fires, and then quite a few local flood and different storm events. The photo in the bottom right-hand corner, as you can see, that's actually Rakaia huts. So that happened to be on a training night, and the community got hold of us and said, we've got some flooding happening down here. Are you guys able to come out and help with sandbags? So we spent roughly 4 hours out there redoing all these sandbags, which were starting to split open, and all the community from down there got in with us as well. So we all worked really well together to get sandbags ready and sorted for them if it turned into the worst. So a lot of our work is done within joint combined teams. So whether it be on exercises or training nights, we try and get linked in together and sort of not keep to ourselves. So we want to be able to get the wide experience that we get from other people within the other teams as well. So currently our team is accredited, that's what I was looking for. We're currently accredited with Foundation, Light Rescue, Flood, Storm, Civil Defence Centres and Welfare, and out of region deployments. And that's me.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. That was really great to hear from all of you and see how many women make up your team. I remember when I joined my response team in the year 2000, there was only one other lady in the team. So it's great to see that kind of 24 years later, your teams have got a third or up to half are women now. And it's great to hear that, yeah, there's that diversity in the teams, which we've definitely seen through accreditation. It brings some really unique skills to the team, which is awesome. And it's great to hear that all the different deployments that you guys have been involved in as well. We're going to get into some questions for the panel now. So I've got 3 questions to put to the panel. And if you'd like to answer one of these questions, just raise your hand and I will ask you to answer it. So the first question I'd like to put to the panel is, what motivated you to join Civil Defence as a volunteer? And what aspects of this role really resonates with you? Don't all answer at once. Oh, Frankie's got a hand up. Go ahead, Frankie.
So it was quite a fluke that I even heard about NZ-RT4. So we've got a local walking group here called the Striders, and they do an event that spans over 7 weeks. I just happened to attend that and ran into Richard, who's the team leader, still is our team leader, and handed me a pamphlet. I was read what was on the pamphlet and just was immediately enthralled. So what motivated me to join the team was the skills that were on offer, and the fact that you could help to support the community in really unique ways, the ways that people don't necessarily always consider. But also, and maybe a little bit selfishly, I'm learning skills that benefit me in my personal life as well, and skills that I can transfer. So being a stay-at-home parent, I had very young children at the time, and I thought, wow, a first aid course would be really handy. So that was great. And also things like leadership training and management skills So yeah, I've been able to transfer those into my personal life and then also help others with that as well. So all in all, it's just an awesome experience, and I definitely recommend anybody who is even curious to have a look, search up what RT teams do, and yeah, have a look.
Awesome. Thanks, Frankie. Sam, what motivated you to join?
So for me, in my normal day-to-day job, there's quite a specific type of person that I work with. So working in an organisation or a team that's got a wide range of different volunteers, it gave you an opportunity to work with people from different backgrounds, totally different ages. Like you might be working with someone that's 18 versus someone that's in their 60s. So quite a big wide range. And with that came the skills that you gain from being able to talk to different people who come from different backgrounds and have different experience. So you're not always, gives you something to talk, a different way of talking to people. Another big thing was helping within the community. So I always wanted to do something to be able to help within the community in the surrounding area. Never really knew what it was. I'd actually seen and heard about the RT teams about 3 years before I joined, but just couldn't quite commit to our weekly trainings that I needed to at the time. So that sort of put everything on hold, but it still kept me interested, and I kept talking to people about it and got to know some people that are within the team. And when it did suit, I was able to join the team and I'm still there. So
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. And Jen, what motivated you to join?
I actually was very inspired by my dad. When we moved here, my dad saw in the newspaper about this new response team, and he got very excited. And so he went and went to the first recruitment when they were registered and joined. And so I ended up doing what all kids do. I ended up being a patient and going to trainings a lot and pretending to be a wounded person, and got to be all dramatic. So it was really cool because I was really surrounded by it at a very influential age as a teenager. And I really resonated with the energy that response team has. The people that are attracted to this area, they're so wonderful. And so as soon as I could, I joined up. And part of that was I wanted to be I wanted to give back to a community that I had then been exposed to, seeing all these wonderful responses from other agencies too, being around cops and fire, and everyone that you see put so much effort in. I was like, oh, I think I could do that too. So if you've got the drive to, why not? So yeah, so that was what motivated me really, and that's what still motivates me today. So even when it's cold and wintry and playing outside and the wet doesn't sound too much fun, I still get attracted to my teammates' energy, so I'd rather be with them. So it's pretty exciting really. So yeah, so that's pretty much me.
Kia ora, Jen. Yeah, definitely agree. It's a common thread, helping your community, gaining some new skills, and having that second family as your response team family. All right, let's go to the next question to put to the panel. So, can you describe any specific challenges you've encountered as a woman in the field, and what practical advice would you offer to women who are considering volunteering with response teams? So, two-part question: any specific challenges you've faced, and any practical advice? So, Amelia, go ahead.
Thank you, Liz. You probably think response team strong, big blocks. You have to have the strength. And it's actually yes in some situation, but and that's kind of was my challenge. It was like, oh, am I gonna be good enough to be part of the response team? I even had the challenge. My other challenge is I have fear of height, and you work on height from time to time, and so there are things that you can do to deal with this. And one of the things that I realize is that first, work smarter, not harder. There are a number of ways that the strength can be divided between people, and you don't have to carry everything yourself and do everything yourself. And so that then makes a team working a very important part of being part of the response team, and the team aspects rather than an individual is important when you start joining, because it's not about your individual strengths and what you need to bring in to be able to survive. Is the complementary skills that you're bringing in to create this very strong team. And so there will be situation when being my size is actually probably better than being a very tall, big block that can fit in certain small spaces under rubble to maybe rescue someone. So it's really thinking about your strong skills and complementing a team is more important than thinking, oh, am I going to be able to lift someone? Don't worry, just ask for more people to be helping you with lifting, for example. And with the working at height, I kind of realized that there's so much security around you to prevent you from falling, and the team that works with me has provided such a secure space to work that this now is not any longer a problem. It's just something that I don't even think about any longer. So again, as Liz said, is this family and a team that really creates this amazing space to be in, and you want to be working with them even if it's raining very heavily. Yes. Thank you, Liz.
Great points, Amelia. Good advice too. Kate.
Yeah, I think mine are similar to Amelia. My challenges have been, I was scared I wasn't strong enough. I was scared I wasn't, I didn't know enough. And ultimately what it was is that I was getting in my own way. Before I joined, I was worried that I wasn't made to be part of the team or whatever. And in reality, the team trains you and gets you to the place you need to be to have all the skills you need. And in doing that, you become part of the team and get to know everyone. And so, that's my recommendation would be to, go for it, join the team. Because you might not know anything now, but you will by the time you're a year in, like I am.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. And Frankie, got some challenges and some advice?
Yeah, absolutely. So I couldn't agree more with Amelia and Kate. So it can be really intimidating when you're joining a response team as a female, simply because, you look at all these things and you think they require all of these, brute strength, all of these types of skills. But I've been with the team for 5 years and never once have I been felt singled out for being a female. It's just, you are a team member. You're not a female team member. So NZ-RT4 is a real safe learning space. So we all learn together and we treat everyone as equals. We're all learning and working towards the same goal. And that is helping others. That's helping the community. So it doesn't matter who you are. It's about helping others. So I did pose this question to the members of NZ-RT4, and one of them, being a petite woman, was saying, a real challenge can sometimes be strength and size. Obviously, for a 60-kilo woman to be dragging a 90-kilo man, as Amelia was saying, you just need to ask for more resources. But also we have found that it makes the women on NZ-RT4 more resourceful. We're problem solvers. We have to think outside the box because we can't just rely on our brute strength. We go, I can't lift this guy, so I need 2 people. Let's put him on a chair and get him out of here. So as Amelia was saying, it's about finding out people's strengths and applying them where they will function best. And considering that NZ-RT4 does so many different strands, we've got people who are great in swift water and not so great in ropes, and then vice versa, rah-de-rah. And it just means that we can apply people where they're strongest. And, if you're afraid of heights, you don't have to go on heights. You be an ace at anchors. So applying people where you feel most confident and competent. So we also do challenge by choice. I'm sure that's the thing throughout every NZ-RT team. So, you know, if there's something that you don't want to do, you just say, nah, I can be used elsewhere. That's where my strength lies. And there's no shame in that, regardless of who you are. You can say no. That's 100% okay. So we do recruit every 2 years, and our capacity is roughly 30 people. We don't necessarily choose, you know, oh, we need more women or we need more men on the team. We choose based on attitude. So, you know, a willingness to learn, a willingness to work as part of the team. So, yeah, if you've got the skills and the attitude, great. But also being a female on the team, and having the diversity within the team, especially for Palmerston North, we've got a lot of different cultures and a lot of different backgrounds. So learning how to interact with those people in a way that makes them comfortable. Having women on the team is a real benefit. So yeah, obviously having a bit of diversity in there is great. And then also rapport with local emergency services. So we don't have ego. We just go to help. You know, tell us to do this, we do that. Tell us to do that, we do that. So so yeah, that's it from me. Any advice to women is just do it. Join a team.
Thanks, ladies. That was really, really good advice. It's actually really heartwarming to hear how much stuff's changed. I have my own experience when I was a young female team leader of a team that had developed a rope rescue capability, and going to multi-agency jobs as the team leader of a rope rescue team. Often partner agencies would look at me twice and go, hang on a minute. But now I don't think I would be looked twice at, because things have definitely improved across the board, across the whole system. So that's really great to hear all your words of advice. So I'll ask the final panel question, and then we'll get into some open questions from people on the hui. So the last panel question: in what ways has your involvement with the New Zealand response teams impacted your personal growth and your professional development? Laura.
Hello. So I think, as many people have touched on, through the accreditation and the different strands we do, they're all backed up through qualifications and training that we need to sit as well. So there's probably kind of two key elements to that. There's the direct skills to do the work that has been referenced over the night, like the rubble pile, rope work, swift water and storm, etc. So you're always kind of learning that practice, and through training and stuff, putting it into play and testing it. Those environments around the safe place and encouraging others allows people to step up, ask the questions, challenge, grow, learn each week, and each time we do those skills, which is always backed up through competency and training as we go along. But the other element of what we do is around that soft skills piece as well. So there's pieces around cultural competency, leadership, working with diverse groups of people, a whole lot of different things like that, particularly when you're in that sort of civil defence centre welfare type space as well. And within the teams, there's governance and structures around them. So there's opportunities to sit on leadership teams, be in various leadership roles, and work towards being on them as well. Because I think that's the important thing, is around succession and making sure that we're bringing up talent from those new recruits in there to future team leaders, equipment officers, etc. as well. So I guess if I kind of reflect that question to myself personally, Liz, I joined NZ-RT 9 years ago now. At the time, I had not long started my career in my real job in engineering space. And I think if I sort of reflect on the growth it's given me at different times through the response teams, of how various leadership roles, and it's sort of tested and challenged me to lead and grow in that space, which has then, I guess, directly brought skills and learning back into my workplace as well. The NZ-RTs offer a really unique environment where you can be safe to test and learn and try different techniques. So every time we run training, we're getting different people to step up who might not always put their hand up and give it a go. And I think that's the key thing in those training type environments is give it a go, because then when you get into those situations, like in the deployments and stuff, you've just got that many more tools in your toolkit, and you can kind of step up and lean on that experience as well, and I guess bring it back into life when things don't always go to plan, or you've got different situations in your own personal workspace, and how you can lean them on. I guess just one further bit is that, as Liz has spoken to, there is a whole lot of opportunities to build a career in emergency management. And I probably lost count how many people that we've seen go from a volunteer in this space. I've heard a couple of stay-at-home mums, and it's been a great opportunity to kind of connect, but then down the track, step into a career. So great step, and it can lead you into ways that maybe you wouldn't think that it has when you first joined and put your foot in the door.
Totally agree. Thanks, Laura. Sam.
Okay, thanks, Liz. Like being in a RT team, regardless of where you are in New Zealand, there's like plenty of opportunities for professional development in individuals. So it could be something as simple as being put into a leadership role, or you've not very confident talking in front of people and you end up running a session or a training session for your entire team. So for example, RT21, that's around 30 people. So and that goes from planning it right from the start all the way through to actually conducting it on the night, and then having that discussion at the end to make sure we have some learnings from it and what can change and how we can change it. We are quite good at putting people out of their comfort zones in a good way. So putting people out of their comfort zones, sort of getting volunteers first. Volunteers, usually the first ones, aren't out of their comfort zone, or they're sort of right on that cusp where they're almost there. But then looking around the room, seeing those people that are quite literally cowering in the corner, hiding from everyone, looking at the ground, trying not to get picked out, and sort of pulling them in and saying, well, we can do that with someone else. So that person can then have a second person that can support them and help them build on those skills and develop themselves as well. So there's a few plenty of different opportunities that come up, and every task we do is totally different. No task is the same, whether it be on actual deployment or if we're doing an exercise or a training night. So there's always little things that change, and sometimes major things that change on the spot, and you've got to try and adapt to what's happening in this situation. For me personally, it's allowed me to get experience and insight into career development and possibilities. So this is a space that I'm wanting to get into eventually down the road. And it's just given me the ability to make contacts as well. So make contacts with other people within the area, and have those conversations and sort of see how they got down that path and what they needed to do to get down there.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. And Kate.
Yeah, so the response team has helped out with personal growth and professional development in lots of ways. There's the hard skills, there's the first aid, and even someone handed me a radio during a fire drill at one point, and I knew what to do with it, which someone later said, wow, you really know how to use a radio. And I was like, Monday nights. But also, the soft skills, the working as part of a team, working under pressure was a big one for me. I used to really get myself in a flap as soon as stuff started going wrong or there was a lot of pressure on, and now I'm better, still not quite there, but better. And adaptability, stuff changes, things change, and you learn how to roll with it and keep going.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing all that, everyone. I think I'm going to throw to Amy. I think we're going to open for some questions from the field.
Yeah, I think we have about 10 to 12 minutes. If anybody who's joined us online either wants to type your questions in, or if you'd like to turn your camera on or leave it off and just raise your hand and ask a question, fire away.
Don't all ask at once. Vicky, go ahead, Vicky.
Kia ora everyone, Vicky from Manawatu Whanganui. Just a quick question. How do you guys keep yourself safe, like after a deployment? Do you get any psychosocial help, or is it just like a peer support within the team? How does that sort of work?
Good question. Anyone want to answer that, or do you want me to answer that? Frankie?
So although I've never used it myself, I believe that a lot of it is peer support. But if you need more than that peer support, I know that Palmerston North does offer the extra psychosocial help. It's just about asking the right people, and as I've been fortunate never to have to go past peer support, yeah, I'm sure it's a resource that would be easily findable if you're looking for it.
Amelia?
Yeah, so we actually trialed that after the Hawke's Bay and Auckland deployments, and so you do as a team that goes deployed, get together and you do hot debriefs. So things that you can think of on a quick spot, and then a cold debrief, which means there's more time to actually reflect on and then consider what actually happened and how that affects you. We're actually quite lucky in our team in Wellington. We have a well-being lead, so someone who has that experience and education and this well-being space. So we tend to actually do sessions at least once or twice a year with the whole team, just to remind people that we are only humans, we will be affected, and it will affect our families as well. And it's important to always have that in front of mind and not be afraid to say, I had enough, or I need help, or I need support. And so trying to make that quite clear to team members that this is a safe place to bring that up, and you're not on your own.
Jen?
So we've got a similar structure too. And so we've got within our team, we've got we actually have a psych nurse, which is very convenient. And so she's our go-to, and she's pretty good at spotting people too, and you'll get a sneaky phone call. So she's incredibly dependable, reliable, and she's got a very good vault. So she's we can speak to her in confidence, and vice versa. But we all the way up, so from our buddy systems right up to our team manager within civil defence. When we have deployments, even our civil defence team manager always talks to us around knowing that there's always counselling that's accessible as well, which is really nice, because I think that also means that not only have we been deployed by them, they then tie it back in to know that they've been working very hard in EOC. And of course, getting a lot of engagement with the community via that access way, but they also realise that we're the ones knocking on the door, which is really, it's quite wonderful, because it builds that trust back in the team too, from the bottom right through to the top, so we're all at the same level, just in one go.
Hopefully that answers your question, Vicky. Good one. Any other questions from the audience?
I've got one that anyone can answer. My question is, what's your most memorable response and why?
Looks like we need someone to jump in. I think every response has brought a completely different piece out of it. There's been some that have been memorable because you see community response and support and kind of uplift, and how communities work together in ways that you don't see in day-to-day life. And probably for me, that would be the response to the mosque response in Christchurch. I think there's memories in there that pretty terrible situation, but memories of amazing stuff that will stick with you for life. And then there's other ones where just you're out of town, how teams come together and support each other, and achieving, I think in Westport floods a couple years ago, we evacuated 1,000 homes in a half day essentially, and made some pretty big impact, and it was just rewarding in terms of what people had achieved in that period of time. So every deployment has a bit of a special spot for a different reason.
Jen.
So a couple come to mind for me, and exactly the same reason in reference to Laura's points too. Just seeing the amount of people that come to help you in your own region is an incredible feeling. Our Nelson fires a few years ago, I think a lot of you came to help us, which was amazing in itself. But we were at a briefing, and it was a really significant moment during this call out where we had been busy for a couple of days, and we're at a briefing, and you kind of had to pinch yourself because you're surrounded by police, fire, you've got the army there, you've got all these amazing people that have come from all over New Zealand to help us. And then we had 2 more fires go off in our region during the briefing. And it was a really significant moment that even when you've got all of those resources in one area, we still can't control everything that happens. So it was a really significant moment of realizing that thank God we had everyone there, but also we were just getting to that point where if anything more went out of control, we would be at capacity. And that swings me really nicely into Christchurch. I think I really think Christchurch resonates with all of us, whether you're even a responder. I think every single person, hand on heart, that's even considering joining a team is probably thinking about trying to help in those situations where we want to help the helpless. We also want to help those that want to help each other. So those are the 2 areas that I really focus on with that. So it's a really good question, Jennifer.
Sam.
Okay, so I've got one that's probably a bit more recent than what the others have been talking about. So that was the last lot of Port Hills fires. So we actually ended up manning a cordon that was on the Selwyn portion, so not the Christchurch City portion of Port Hills. And it was one young family that probably made the biggest impact for me. And it's exactly why I'm doing this. So this particular family ended up getting evacuated. So they were evacuated in the middle of the night. They left, and it would have been late afternoon the day after, I think they got told that they could go back to their house. The kids were a bit of a mess. They didn't want to go. They were scared. They were really worried. They drove up to the property, or up to their driveway, saw us, and they actually all came over. So they came over and had a chat to our people that were up on the cordon. And we just sort of spoke to the kids and said, look, we're here all night. If anything happens, we're here. We will come and get you. We will tell you. You don't have to worry. We'll get you out, basically. And they went back into their house. The mum actually came out and basically walked us through her house and said, look, this door's going to be open. Go through here. Here's a bathroom. At that point, we didn't have portaloos out at our location either, so that was interesting to deal with. But yeah, she showed us through the house, and she said, look, if you guys need to come in, doesn't matter what time, here's the kitchen, make yourself a hot drink. And the next morning she came out and saw us and said that her kids went straight to sleep that night, and they haven't done that in a very long time. She said that just the little bit of, I suppose, confidence they had that we were actually out there and we were genuine. We were going to come and get them if something happened, and they'd probably be the first house we went to because they were the closest. But they did have that support, and we were going to get them out if something did happen. So yeah, that was probably the most memorable for me.
Awesome, thanks. I've got one, Jen, that will make you laugh. We got called to a jet boat crash in the Manawatu Gorge, and so we're all putting our wetsuits on the way to the job, thinking we're rescuing people out of the river. This was back before we could afford dry suits, and we got to the job and everyone was out of the water, but they all needed rope rescue up the cliff to the road. So I spent 2 hours doing rope rescue in a wetsuit on a hot day. So that was memorable for me for all the wrong reasons. There's a question in the chat from Hannah from Wellington City Council. What piece of advice would you give someone thinking of joining a response team? Fire away, Frankie.
I don't know how the recruitment process works for other teams, but for RT4, everyone who applies to the team gets an interview, and then after that interview, if you're successful, then you get taken away to a recruit weekend, which quite honestly is a life-changing event. I still remember my recruitment, and it was 5 years ago. So if you are interested, there's usually open nights, there's usually social media posts. Check those out. And then even if you apply and then you get into the interview and you're not feeling it, you can always withdraw. And we're a volunteer organizations. So if at any point you want to withdraw, you can withdraw. So the only thing you have to lose is the time you spent putting into it. So just do it. Honestly, it could potentially change your life and, change it for the better. So
Thanks, Laura.
And my words were going to be just do it. So I think I echoed Frankie's in that if you're thinking about it, you're best just to give it a shot, and you'll find your fit, and either if it's something that fills your cup or not, and you won't know unless you give it a go. So always reach out. I'm sure speaking and hearing from everyone talk tonight, people are always welcome to share some stories, bring you under the wing, come to training for a couple of nights and actually just see if it's for you. We heard from Jen earlier, who talked about being a casualty in a stretcher, and sometimes that's the best way to kind of see how a team works and operates, and what they're all about. So yeah, come along and give it a go.
Awesome. Thanks, Amelia.
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but yeah, just do it. There's little to lose and so much to gain if that really resonates with you. And yeah, I support that casualty thing. I think some of us do a 12, 20, 36-hour exercise. We always need casualties. So if you just reach out to any team and they will be more than happy to probably give you a date when you can come and be rescued.
All right, I'm going to hand back to Amy to wrap us up.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. And if there are any more questions, you're welcome to email them to the All Network, and I can pass them along to some of our speakers. But just wanting to move along, since we did promise a timely evening and we want to respect everyone's evening. So just a quick plug to remind you guys, this is the first of those 5 fortnightly sessions going a little bit further into volunteers within New Zealand and the emergency services. So the NZ-RTs have been kind enough to kind of kick us off after Lansar had to reschedule. And in 2 weeks, the same time, Task Force Kiwi on the 22nd of August, followed by the New Zealand Red Cross on the 5th of September, Fire and Emergency in New Zealand and some of their volunteers on the 19th of September, and then Lansar will be again on the 3rd of October. So that website that you guys all registered for this session on, if you haven't already, you can register for one or all 4 of those, and the same thing as this. It'll be available on our YouTube channel and sent out to you afterwards. So with that said, I think we're going to go ahead and close out with a Karakia. Me mahi tahi tato mo te oranga o te katoa, umie huie tai kie. We must work together for the well-being of all, join all together, bind all together, let it be done. So just wanting to say a huge namihi to all of the presenters and the people who have helped with organizing this, Liz, Amelia, and for you guys for spending some time tonight. So thank you guys, and have a great evening.
Just one plug before you guys go. We do have an opportunity. I've popped a link in the chat to nominate any of the women that you've met tonight, but also any of the women working on the response teams or across emergency management and disaster resilience in New Zealand. And I really encourage you all to take a moment to think about the amazing work that you're doing yourself and that the people are doing around you, and whether or not that might be something you might want to nominate them for. Last year was our first year doing that, and we're going to do it every year. In addition, this year we've added an allies category. So if you know some people who don't identify as female, but they're really supporting females to succeed and achieve in this area, you can nominate them as well. So definitely have a go at doing that. Read more about it from the link in the chat.
Jennifer, just a quick note, maybe it's me, but I haven't actually seen that link come through in my chat. Is anybody else?
Oh,
Just check it's for everyone, Jen.
yeah, sorry. I've just spammed one person.
We can
I
also
believe
send that
it's
out.
on the website as well, right? So
Yes, it is.
yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for
See you
joining.
guys. Great night.
Thank you.